I interrupt this video to do an unscientific scientific test. Okay, what does that mean? Well, we're going to test 4 glues just to see what happens. And I'm going to try to keep things as equal as I can, but I'm not going to get down into the nitty-gritty tiny details of this. I've got 4 different glues I'm going to test. I've got this glue here. It's called Rapid Fuse. It's made by DAP. This sounds like the perfect glue to glue this wooden top back to this fiberglass body. This really does sound like the perfect glue. It gives you a cure in 30 minutes. You can move it for 3 minutes. Works on all types of wood, it says. It's great for other surfaces such as ABS, which is plastic, melamine, PVC, which is the kind of binding we're dealing with, particle board, rubber, steel, glass, stone, and more. This really sounds like the right stuff right here to me. Okay, we've got Gorilla Glue, and it's the original Gorilla Glue. Now the problem with this glue for my application, and I'm not going to use this already, I can tell you, even if this works the best, is because this says you need to use water to cure it. Well, actually, I might use it if it works the best, because I'm not going to use water in this test. But anyway, this says you need to dampen one side of the joint and glue the other side, stick them together. Okay, I cannot do that in this particular case on this guitar. So I'm going to do this dry, so it's kind of unfair to the Gorilla Glue since it's supposed to have water, but we're going to use all 4 glues dry. Here is just plain old super glue. It's Loctite super glue, and this is kind of a standard viscosity. It's not the real thin stuff. I'm waiting on the thin stuff. That's what I wished I had here, but I don't have it here right at the moment. So, and I'm going to just use the good old reliable Titebond, which I do not think is the right glue for this test. I'm just kind of using this as a control, if you will. All right, what am I gluing? I'm going to glue a popsicle stick to the inside of this piece of PVC, and I've got a line marked on every stick at the same location. I'm just going to put glue to that line, and I've also sanded the corner here on 4 of these different PVC things, and I'm just going to glue it and clamp it, let it set overnight, and I'm just going to do a simple strength test. Not scientific really, just to see how they really do bond. Okay, I've got my popsicle sticks. All 4 of these have been sanded in this corner right here, this near low corner, and all of them have been sanded just to kind of give a clean surface for each one. I'm going to start with the easy one for me, which is the super glue. And I'm just going to put the super glue in the area of the mark. I'm not going to spread it around exactly. I'm just going to do them all the same way. I'm going to press it right on here, and I am going to clamp it with a little C-clamp. It's clamped pretty tight, and that's how I'm going to do each and every one of them. That's the super glue, and I'm going to write super glue on here so we don't get confused. Okay, so we've got that one down. The next easiest one to do right now, because the other ones haven't even been opened yet, will be the Titebond. So now we're going to do the exact same thing, just put a little bead of glue right down in the little line here with Titebond. And I'm going to try to put roughly about the same amount of pressure, what I think I put on the other one. Okay, and now I need to write Titebond. Let's open up the Gorilla Glue. And like I told you, I am not going to use water with this, and I realize right off the bat that that's a disadvantage for this glue because it says it needs water. But that's okay, I'm just going to do the exact same thing because I told you I cannot use water in my application because there's no way I can get to both surfaces in my application here. So there is the Gorilla Glue. I got a bead of it there. Put it roughly in the same position. The reason I'm gluing it to PVC is because I want to see how well it will glue to plastics. Let me write down Gorilla Glue. And lastly, we are going to use this Rapid Fuse. Never used this before in my life. Of course, I've never used Gorilla Glue before in my life either, so both of these are brand new to me. Okay, we're going to let all 4 of those set overnight and we'll see what we end up with. Well, friends, here at the last minute, I decided to add one more test, and that is Beacon 527. Now, this is an acetate-based glue. This is very similar to Ducko cement. I'm going to do the exact same thing with it. This is the glue that I often use to glue wood to binding. And especially with the older acetate bindings, this is the perfect stuff to use. It doesn't glue to PVC nearly as well, I know that already. But let's just see how well it does. It's probably not the best glue for this particular application, again, because of the cleanup. Cleanup is a big consideration in this particular application because it's going to be hard to keep the glue off of the surfaces. Okay, we're going to wait till, give them 24 hours to cure, and let's see what happens. Okay, in my unscientific scientific test, we're going to now, the clamps have been removed. They've all been setting about 12 to 13 hours is approximately how long it's actually been setting up, which was basically overnight. I glued them up roughly around 7:30 last night, and it's now about 8:30 the next morning, so around 13 hours roughly. So the first test I'm going to do, all I did was remove the clamps so far. And this is tight bond. I figure it's probably the least likely to hold, although I think it'll hold pretty good until there's enough force on it. It should pop loose and probably be able to be peeled loose. The first test I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a shock test. And I'm just going to hold it here and tap it and tap it and tap it and just, tap it, 8 or 10 times and see if anything pops loose. Okay, I don't see anything going on there. The next test, I'm going to, this is tight bond. Okay, we've got her zeroed out with this block on here. Well, I think we do. Let's just check that. And I'm going to press down on this block at an angle and just see. Okay, that one popped off, and I didn't see how quick it popped off. I wasn't looking at that. Hopefully the camera caught the numbers. And maybe we'll even zoom in a little bit better. That was tight bond, and it did pop off with, some pretty good pressure, but not a lot of pressure. All right, here's Beacon 527. Turning it over and doing the tap test. It doesn't appear to be loose. All right, I'm going to try to see the scale this time as I press down. Okay, we got 3 pounds, roughly, 4 pounds, and I didn't see where it actually popped off. That was the Beacon 527. It popped off pretty clean. We know we got up to about 4 pounds of pressure. Here's the super glue. I'm going to do it next because it's another glue I use often. And let's just see, tapping it, let's see if it does anything. I'm also doing the tap test. This is kind of simulating a little bit of the vibration that's going to go through the instrument with it being played and all that, and under stress and all that. And then I'm doing the real test here. Okay, again, this is super glue. Let's see what it does. Okay, we're up over 4. I don't know how strong the popsicle stick is. 5. Okay, the stick actually broke and gave way both. So you can see what happened there. So the super glue is definitely the strongest so far. Okay, now we've got Gorilla Glue, which, unless it really holds good on this, I doubt I'm going to use this. You can see the foaming action of the Gorilla Glue. The urethane glues, they expand and foam and all that kind of thing. And I'm concerned about cleanup on this, especially in this guitar top. It's a very nice guitar top, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm a little concerned about Gorilla Glue for several reasons. But anyway, let's see what it does. I have a feeling this is going to hold real good. I mean, it just looks like it's going to hold real good. Tapping it a few times. I have a feeling the popsicle stick's going to break on this one before anything turns loose. That's what I'm assuming. Alright, so here we go. Let's see if we can simulate this one. Okay, we're at over 4 pounds, 5 pounds. I don't know if I can get 6 pounds with my hand. 6 pounds. Alright, I'm going to have to stand up because it's, and I don't know if I can read it upside down and backwards here, but let's see if we can put some more pressure on it. I can't read it from this side. Hoping the camera is going to pick it up. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in because this one looks like it's going to be the one that's going to matter. The popsicle stick broke at 6 pounds roughly. Okay, it did not give way. I'm going to see if I can make it give way here. Yeah, I did, and it gave way fairly cleanly. Well, I mean, that worked pretty good. By far, it's the best so far, but again, I don't like the cleanup on it. Now, this rapid fuse, I've never used this before, don't know nothing about it, but it looks clean as heck on here. You know, there's no residue, no nothing left over. I don't know how it will be to clean up. We're going to do a cleanup test on all these too. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but we're going to do that. Alright, so I'm going to, even though it's not on camera here, I'm doing my same tap test with the rapid fuse. And now I'm going to see if we can, I'm going to press down on it and see what it does. Yeah, the stick seems weaker on this one, so I've got trouble already. I don't think I can get the same pressure because this stick seems really weak. Ah, doggone, wouldn't you know? That stick is really weak. So I'm not going to get the same pressure here, unfortunately. I'll try it from this other side. Maybe I can get the stick to hold this way. No, stick is really weak. But I'm over 5 pounds. I think I hit 6 there for a second. There's 6. It popped loose cleanly, I have to say, around 6 pounds. Okay, well, you know, I don't know how to call that. I'm just going to say right now we're approximately tied with the Gorilla Glue and the rapid fuse. Well, as I said, it's, you know, not a scientific test. It's just a seat of your pants test. Rapid fuse and Gorilla Glue definitely seem to be the strongest two by far. You know, as I predicted, Titebond was relatively poor bond on plastic. I mean, it held, and if you look here, it's still got quite a bit of residue stuck to the plastic, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but the rapid fuse came off fairly cleanly, although you can still see quite a bit of residue there. It's a clearer glue, that's one thing. Gorilla Glue, there's quite a bit of residue there. And the super glue, it's the only one that seemed to want to stick a little bit better. I mean, it's the only one where the wood actually split there. Now, again, that could be a lot of factors, you know, the way you press it, different things. And there's the Beacon 527. It didn't hold all that well either. So, I don't know. Where does that leave us? Well, I'm going to do some kind of, I'm not even going to worry about the other ones because these two here seem like they won pretty much hands down between those 5 choices. Okay, we're going to do a cleanup test. We're just going to put it on this coated wood here. This has got some kind of a resin coating on it. I don't know what it is. I don't know that it's similar to an instrument at all. I'm just going to try it and see what it looks like when we clean it up. I'm reading the directions. I'll just hit the high points. On the directions it says, surface must be clean, of course, tight fitting. It says to wear gloves to avoid skin contact. Gorilla Glue will stain skin, ruin clothes. Okay, the quick directions are damp it, glue it, clamp it. So, in other words, you lightly dampen one surface, then you, add glue to the other surface, you put them together, and you clamp it. It says do not microwave or heat. Do not over apply glue. While curing, glue will expand 3 to 4 times. Be careful of squeeze out. It's telling you that right on the bottom. On the inside directions, when you peel this open, it says clean up. Wipe off wet glue off the project immediately with a dry cloth and or paint thinner. So cured glue can be removed with a scraper or chisel, on and on. Okay, so those are the pertinent facts on Gorilla Glue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the surface. I'm going to watch a timer here and let it set about 30 seconds before I wipe it off. That will simulate, roughly gluing up something and then wiping it off. Wiping off the squeeze out. I'm really concerned about the Gorilla Glue. I'm really concerned about this one too. I don't have any experience with either one of them, and I don't want to mess up this guitar. I'm going to take the Gorilla Glue. I've already read the directions. It says to wipe off, squeeze out with a dry cloth. Do not use water. Alright, so I'm going to take and put a thin line of Gorilla Glue across here. And I'm starting the timer, and I'm going to give it 30 seconds. I've got my little timer right here counting down. Okay, there's 30 seconds. We're wiping it off. And I would say there's little to no residue at all. Okay, that looks pretty good. There's really no residue left with the Gorilla Glue. We're going to close that up. I've read the directions on cleanup on this. It says to wipe it up with a dry cloth also. So anyway, we're going to move over here and put a small line of this. Okay, it's 30 seconds. We're going to try to wipe this off. So the rapid cure does not come off clean at all. It just leaves a mess. Rapid fuse, I should call it. So, by far, the Gorilla Glue wins that test. The thing that bothers me the most about the Gorilla Glue is that it says you need to have water to make it cure properly. I cannot do that method on this guitar, and the reason for that is it says you're supposed to wet one surface but not the other. Well, I can wet one surface, but I can't get glue on the other surface, or vice versa. I can get glue on the surface, but I can't wet the other surface. So the only way I can use the Gorilla Glue is to use it dry. That's how I did the test with the PVC, and it still was one of the stronger glues. So it appears to me that we're going to be using Gorilla Glue by surprise here. I did not expect that. But it seems to be about the strongest bond, and it seems to be the best cleanup by far. I think I will try it on one other surface on the cleanup before we make our final decision. I think I'll just get a piece of PVC binding similar to the binding that's on the guitar and just do the same 30-second test and see how it comes off the binding. I have a piece of white PVC binding here. I am not even going to bother doing the rapid fuse test because at this point I am not using that on the guitar because there's no way I could clean up that off the top of that guitar if I get it on there. The only one that even sort of works out of all the 5 glues I've tested is the Gorilla Glue, and I am just going to test this as a safety thing here to see how it comes off of the PVC binding. Give it another 30 seconds, and the reason I'm doing the 30 seconds is because that simulates real life. I'm going to be putting this on and then trying to wipe it off, and you're busy holding and pressing and squeezing and everything, and then you're going to have to wipe it off after that. So I'm giving myself about 30 seconds time there to get this wiped off. All right, so I'm just going to run it down this binding here, as thin a little line as I can. And now I'm starting the timer just to make sure there's no crazy reaction to the binding. I doubt there will be. I don't expect this to be a real issue, but you just never know till you try. And I don't want to try on the guitar. Okay, the 30 seconds is up now. I'm just going to wipe it off like that. And appears to wipe off very cleanly, very cleanly. So cleanup is the most important factor besides hold in this particular project. Hands down, Gorilla Glue works on the cleanup. Hands down, it worked on the strength. So I think there's only one clear choice, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping the Rapid Fuse would have been in the same ballpark. The thing about the Rapid Fuse is it doesn't expand and it doesn't bubble up and foam, and I can see this stuff squeezing out of the joint and foaming up, and then I'm going to have to clean that up later. And I don't like that either. So, man, it's a hard deal. But this looks like it's the only choice at this time. So it looks like what I'm going to be going with. The super glue was a third possibility. But the super glue, I know it's tough to clean up from years of experience. So cleanup is the second most important factor in this particular case because of so much surface that we have to glue. So I don't think I'm going to use super glue either.